the Daily Hodl, and the title of this article is, if this bipartisan bill passes, banks in Hawaii could hold Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for consumers. So to break this down, lawmakers in the state of Hawaii have introduced a bill that is claimed that is bipartisan, and this bill is going to concern regulating and permitting commercial banks to hold cryptocurrencies on behalf of customers. So approving legally custodial solutions for banks. The banks can now officially hold and be a custodian for personal individuals' private crypto assets. Now, this came into effect on this happened on January 17th. 5 senators from Hawaii introduced a bill defining all digital assets, and here's the key point, all digital assets as, quote, intangible personal property. Now, that categorizes cryptocurrencies by 3 different classes according to this bill: assets, securities, and digital currencies. 3 different things, the overall umbrella of private personal property, assets, securities, and currencies. Now, under the proposal, banks would be allowed to hold and manage all 3 of these different classes of cryptocurrencies, which would effectively extend crypto custody solutions to all of their banking clients. Now, important to note, these digital assets are not going to be deemed deposit liabilities or assets of the bank, meaning that the bank is not going to be financially responsible to have a fiduciary duty to custody according to best practices that I assume will be laid down. But you can't, because they're not depository liabilities or assets of the bank is not going to be able to thus consider them deposits. So for example, when you go deposit money into the bank, that's not your money. You are loaning that money to the bank. The bank can do whatever they want with it. Generally, they play the stock market, or they play the bond market, or they play the futures market, whatever. It depends on what bank you're banking with. Are you in Panama? Are you in Michigan? In this case, because they're not going to be depository liabilities or assets of the bank, they're not going to be able to do that, right? And also keep in mind that how could they? It's going to be on the blockchain. Now, of course, that doesn't preclude them, shadier banks, from doing these things on private networks. But, loaning out, paper Bitcoin, we could do a whole lot of stuff with paper, right? But without anything actually touching the blockchain. But even if they were to do something on the Lightning Network, that'd have to be eventually settled on the blockchain. So it just opens this kind of Pandora's box into how shady can banks get. Now, while they are going to accept these deposits of cryptocurrencies if this bill is passed, and they would not be classified as liabilities or assets of the bank, they would actually continue to remain. They would be classified as the personal property of the client. But this bill would allow banks to facilitate transactions per their customers' requests. So I believe this is almost universally in response to recognizing the nature of blockchain networks in regards to their immutability and their censorship resistance. Because of this, the bill limits a bank's liability in the event of a loss in cases where transactions were authorized by the customer to make the transaction. Again, the bank is not going to be able to gamble with your crypto assets, but at the same time, due to the non-confiscatable and immutable properties of Bitcoin, if you send them the wrong deposit address and they send your coins to somewhere where they can never be reclaimed, they're not going to be held financially liable. They're going to have a fiduciary duty to execute according to best practices. So I assume verification methods will be put in place. But if you make a mistake in telling them what to do with your crypto assets, that's your fault. Now, the bill also authorizes the Hawaii courts to hear claims and adjudicate cases relating to digital assets. Now, while the banking industry has largely avoided serving the crypto and Bitcoin space, typically characterizing the asset classes as untouchable and associated with criminal activity, the emergence of clear legal framework surrounding cryptocurrency, surrounding this new asset class, I think can help usher in a new era of legitimacy and adoption. And we're seeing this around the world. This is the bill has already passed the first reading. The bill has been referred to both the Senate Committee on Commerce, Consumer Protection and Health, that's the CPH over there in Hawaii, and the Senate Committee on the Judiciary, that's the JDC, for further examination. Now, the bill, of course, still has a long way to go. But this serves to bolster the case. The jurisdictions around the world are considering adopting crypto-friendly legislation. I mean, just in late 2019, a bill was introduced in Germany to allow financial institutions to use crypto in similar manners as a traditional asset and allow them to extend deposit and custody services to their customers as well. Exactly what we're seeing down here in Hawaii. Now, of course, commercial banking getting into crypto custody seems to be a developing trend going forward this decade. We have to ask ourselves if this is a good thing and if we like it, but we have to understand, just as we dovetail with the previous story, that although this does strike against the crypto ethos, there is a lot of market participants right now who only want number to go up, and things like these undoubtedly will help number go up, guys. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on this. Is this a good thing? This is a bad thing? But I will tell you this, guys. This is not, we don't just bring these topics up to have something to talk about. This is allowing you guys to see the future trends and individuals.